Okay, this one should be a nice short lesson. There's no new learning necessarily, it's just notation, all right? You know triads, you know seventh chords, you know that we can screw them up with inversions. Today, we're going to be talking about naming and labeling these inverted chords with two different systems. Okay, when naming inversions next to the Roman numerals, we call it a figured bass notation. Okay, so up in here, the answer is figured bass. I know they don't give you a lot of room in here to spell it out. Figured, G-U-R-E-D, bass, and I'm sure you can spell or you can print a lot neater than I can, which is fine. When naming inversions in chord symbols, we use slash chords. So you know about Roman numerals, you know how to use them. Okay, a 1 chord, for example, means a triad built on the first scale degree. A 4 chord is a triad built on the second scale degree. All right, and when we use chord symbols, we take the bottom note. Well, what we've done before is we just have one capital letter, and it's the name of the bottom note, the root of our chord. Now we're going to have to do a little bit more notation when we have chords that are inverted. All right, we're going to start with figured bass, the Roman numerals. All right, a blank inversion is labeled as a 6-3. This is a first inversion triad. Okay, you can see that this snowman is not quite right. The root is up top. Okay, and the third of the triad is at the bottom. That is a first inversion right there. First inversion is labeled as a 6-3 chord as it involves an interval of a third and a sixth above the bass note. All right, so we're talking interval sizes here. We're talking distances between the notes. These three notes are C, E, G, but they are organized and structured in such a way that you have an interval of a third above the lowest pitching note and an interval of a sixth above the lowest pitching note. The only way to get a triad into a situation where you have a third and a sixth is to have a first inversion triad. That's the only way you can get it. All right, so we use the Roman numeral 1 to indicate that it's a 1, we're in C major, to indicate that it's a 1 chord, a triad built on C, but the 6-3 tells us that it's screwed up and inverted in such a way that we have a third and a sixth above the lowest pitching note. Not a third and a sixth above the root. Okay, a third and a sixth above the lowest pitching note. The 1 chord means we have to use C, E, G. The 6-3 means we screw them up in such a way that we have these intervals above the lowest pitching note, the bass note. All right. The second inversion, there's your obvious answer right there. The second inversion is labeled as a 6-4 chord because it does the same thing, but with a sixth and a fourth above the lowest pitching note. You'll see here, we still have the same 3 notes. We have C, we have E, and G. This is a 1 chord, but they're just organized in such a way to get a fourth and a sixth above the lowest pitching note, above the bass note. Okay, some people can confuse the terminology of a root and a bass note. Okay, the root will never change. For example, in C major, a 1 chord will always have C as its root. It will not always have C as the bottom note. Okay, if you have a 1 chord that has been inverted, you may not have C as your bottom note. In this case, and here's a perfect case, a 1 chord, 6-4, a fourth and a sixth above. That is a second inversion triad. Okay. Okay, so that's how you do Roman numerals. Okay, let's go on to slash chords. All right, when you have your basic chord symbol, we use slash chords to notate our inverted chords. Okay. So it says here, when identifying an inversion in the chord symbol, it's simply notated with a slash after the chord, with the bass note following. Any of you who have some experience playing guitar, reading guitar notation, you may recognize this kind of notation. We say C over E, C over G. All right. It is a C chord, but E is the lowest pitching note, and you can see that here. In this case, it's a C chord. Again, it's still a C chord, but G is the lowest pitching note. All right? So slash chords basically tell you the chord and the bass note. That's it. All right? The note here says these chord shapes are often seen in the right hand of a piano part, with the left hand playing the root in the bass. Such chords should not be notated with slash chord notation, since they are in fact root position chords. Only use slash chord notation when the bass note is not the root. This is more for piano players. But essentially, guys, when you have C, E, and G, and E is in the bottom, that's your notation. When you have C, E, G, and G is in the bottom, that's your notation. All right? So that's your naming conventions. Let's go on to the next page, and I'll do a couple examples with you before I sort of release you into the wild to finish the worksheet on your own. Let's go to the next page. So just like before, guys, I think I'll do one example, one question in each of these sections with you, okay? Just to explain the thought process and how we're getting through this, okay? So identify these triads with the given major key signature using Roman numerals and figured bass notation. It's important to note they are telling you that we are in the major key, not the minor key, all right? And then we'll carry on with Roman numerals. So task one, let's pick one. I don't know, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go with, over here, end of line 1, okay? I see 1 flat. I know that this is the major key of F major, so I'm going to write it down so I don't forget. We are in F major, okay? Now, I have to study these 3 notes and figure out the Roman numeral that I need to use, okay? It's not going to be 1 always, because this is not, obviously not a triad built on the tonic, okay? The tonic being F, all right? So, Roman numerals and figured bass notation. So I need to put a Roman numeral here, and I need to put either 6-4 or 6-3, or leave it blank if it's in root position. I can see this is not in root position. Okay, it's not a snowman. So it's going to have 6 something over here, right? First thing to do is identify where my root is, my root 3rd and 5th. So I'm going to zoom in here. And again, my thought process being, if I were to take this A up the octave, that allows me to see that I have my root is the D, the 3rd, and the 5th is my A. So don't forget, guys, we need to put 2 pieces of information here. We need the Roman numeral, and we need our inversion. How do we know what the Roman numeral is going to be? Well, we figure that out by knowing what scale degree our root is on. Our root is the D, okay? In the key of F major, which scale degree is D? All right. I can do again a little bit more work here in on the staff. Okay. If here's scale degree 1, I'm just drawing a little F note here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Scale degree 6. D is scale degree 6 in F major. So scale degree 6 means I need to put a Roman numeral 6. Okay. 6 chords are minor, which means I do lowercase 6, all right? From there, I need to know what inversion to do. Well, all I have to do for that is see what my intervals are. From the lowest pitching, not from the root, but from the lowest pitching note, I have an interval of a 6th and an interval of a 4th. So a 6-4 position. This is a 6-6-4 triad in F major. Okay, if you say that to any experienced piano player, musician, they would know that if you say, okay, we're in F major and I want to hear a 6-6-4 triad, they know immediately that they are playing D, F, and A being the lowest pitching note. Okay, so whatever voicing that ends up sounding like, that's exactly what it's going to be. All right. Okay. Next section. Identify these triads with the given minor key signature using Roman numerals and figured bass notation. So the same thing, but now we're using the minor keys. All right. Let's go, I don't know, how about, let's go to the top right again, just because. Okay? Just to keep it consistent. All right. First, I need to know what musical environment I'm in. I see 2 sharps. Okay. I know they're telling me I'm using the minor key signature, so I know my circle of fifths. This is the key of B minor. All right. And in the key of B minor, I need to know where these know what these notes are. Okay. So first thing I do is I notice that I don't have a snowman. I have an inversion of a chord. All right. When I want to quickly translate this into a snowman, the easiest way to do that is to take the lone note that is sitting out on its own, move it an octave to recreate my snowman in my head. So I'm going to take this E down the octave in my head, and now that allows me to see that my root is the E, the third, and the fifth of my chord. All right. Okay, now back to labeling it. I need to use Roman numerals and figured bass. So I need a Roman numeral, which I figure out by knowing what scale degree my root is. Okay, this is the note E. In the key of B minor, what is the note E? What scale degree is it? Well, I'll do my little walk up again. Here's a B below the first ledger line. Scale degree 1, scale degree 2, scale degree 3. This is scale degree 4. Now be careful here, because usually you think of 1, 4, and 5 chords being major, right? But we are in a minor key signature. In minor key signatures, the 4 chord is in fact minor. Okay, so we do a lowercase 4. And then to get our second piece of information, our inversion, we just have to look at the intervals that are happening above our lowest pitching note, our bass note. Not our root note, but our bass note. Okay, when I look back at our original work here, I can see I have an interval of a sixth and an interval of a third. So 6, 3 is going to be our inversion notation. Okay, in B minor, this is a 4, 6, 3 chord. G, B, E, built from bottom to top. Okay. Woo! Name the following chords using chord symbols indicating their bass notes with slash notation. Okay. Basically, all we're doing here, guys, is writing down the kind of chord we're using. All right. We can study the right hand of each section, and that'll tell us what chord it is. And the bottom hand, the left hand, will tell us what note is on to the right of the slash, or the bass note. Okay. Let's go with, I'll do the first one, just because. I'll leave the challenging ones to you to figure out. Ooh, evil Mr. V. Okay. So what I see here is, well, let's assume we're in C major, because it doesn't tell us what key signature, what major or minor key. Name the chord. Yeah, you know what? It doesn't matter what key we're in, because we're just naming the chord. Okay, this could be a C major chord could exist in C major. A C major chord could exist in G major or whatever. So it doesn't matter what key we are in. We are looking at the triad or the chord itself and the inversion itself. Okay, so let's study. We don't have a snowman, right? So we don't know what our root of the chord is, all right? So again, let's do our blue thought process here. To build a snowman easily, we'll take our D down the octave. Down here, we have our snowman, which shows us that the root is the D. The F, the F is the middle, the third, and the fifth is the A. So with the root being the D, I know that I'm going to be writing the letter D up top. Okay, but I have to be careful. Is this a D major or is this a D minor chord? This is a D major or minor triad. I have to look at my intervals, right? Do I have a perfect fifth interval between the root and the fifth? Okay, D to A. What kind of interval is this? D to F. Is this a major third or a minor third? This is what's going to determine whether or not I just leave it as a D or whether I need to put an M to indicate minor, right? In the key of D major, I should have F sharps for a major third, right? I don't. This is a D. This is an F natural, which means this is a minor third. Intervals of a minor third and a minor fifth create for me a minor triad. So this is in fact a D minor chord, right? Now, all I need to do now is have a look at what the bass hand is doing, what the left hand is doing, to know what I put after my slash. Okay. Well, I can see that I have a D in the left hand. All right. So I don't really need to put a slash here because it would be sort of redundant to say D minor. Oh, sorry, D minor over D. You don't need to do that because D minor over D is just like saying D minor. Okay, it's redundant to say that. But you do have to be careful because sometimes if you were to see just this, let me get rid of the junk here, my work. If you were to see just that, just those three notes, you would think, oh, this is a D minor chord, and F is the lowest note, which means it's a D minor over F, right? And with just this information, yes, you're right. But in fact, we have a left hand which is also playing the root of the chord. All right, so this is in fact just a D minor chord. You do not need to put a slash with another note. If this lower note had been an F or an A, one of the other notes of the chord, then you would of course do slash F or A or whatever else. Okay. I'm just going to warn you a little bit with these other ones. This guy, the second one, you can see that it's going to be a seventh chord of some kind. So refer back to the lesson on inversions of seventh chords, that kind of thing. This will be you're going to say it'll be a letter name with a seventh, and then a slash, and then the note B to the right of the slash. Okay. The last one, you're going to have to be careful as well because you see. What you see here is two notes that are beside each other, which tells you this is a seventh chord that has been inverted, the upper note being the root, but you only have three notes up here. Okay, the note in the left hand is actually part of that seventh chord. So what you're going to want to do is bring that A up into the upper octave, and then invert, and then change things around in your head to see if you can figure out what in fact chord that is. All right. Nice little challenge for you. Give it a try. And this will be the last lesson for Unit 4. Okay? Study, and we'll get ready for the test. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.